You want to stand out. You want to be great. You are significant. Welcome back to Candid Conversations with Charisa. I know it's been a minute, but we are back, and this season 6 is about to be lit. It's about to be hot, and it's about to be all about you. Why? I'm interested in watching the legacy that you want to build and that you want to leave, because you want to be transformed and you want to transform lives. So this season is going to be all about you, your self-development, your self-growth, and your self-leadership. Why? Because you get to change the world. You get to fulfill a purpose. And guess what? Here at Candid Conversations, I get to help you leave a mark in this world. So here we are. We're gonna be getting deep, we're gonna get raw, we're gonna get intimate, we're gonna get sentimental into one of the very most sacred parts of my life, talking about my marriage. You guys have been asking about the transition from being single for a long time to becoming a newlywed. And so I'm gonna have that conversation with you briefly, just briefly today. And I'm willing to be honest, I'm willing to be authentic, I'm willing to be real, hoping that if someone hears me and you experience some of my challenges, you're just able to stick in there and possibly be inspired and encouraged in your marriage and your transition period as well, from single to becoming newlywed. I will only talk about my experiences. I will only talk about what I've been through and my relationship with my husband. I won't talk about anybody else because we are all different. Everybody's relationship is different. Everyone's household is different. So here we go. So the question is, how have you gone from being single for a long time, that's the qualifier, to being a newlywed? And what are some of your challenges and transitioning and adjustments? And so I've been married now a couple of years. It's been more than 2 years now. And I was single for 30, when did I get married? I was single for 37 years before I got married. So imagine being single 37 years, living by yourself, independently, doing your own thing, having set a course for your life already. I was ready and prepared for that of a wife, for that of a husband, for having a marriage, but I also had already been set in my ways. And I got married, and we had done pre-marital counseling, absolutely. I had had great examples for marriage and what sticking for and sticking up and sticking through the challenges of marriage looks like. And I knew I was ready, or I thought I was ready. And to make a long story short, then I got married. And I realized that everything I thought I knew, you threw out the window, because you really didn't know anything. Why? Because when you get married and you fuse yourself with someone, you then recognize and learn some stuff about yourself and things about who you are and who you thought you were that you never knew before, and you would have never known had you stayed single. So here I am in this beautiful marriage, newlywed, honeymoon, and the marriage starts happening. You know, when they say life is lifing? Okay, so the marriage starts marriaging, and if I can use that word. And you realize that you gotta learn some stuff. You thought you knew, you thought you was ready, you thought you were prepared, but you got to learn some stuff. And so I want to talk about one or two of the challenges that came up for me or for my husband and I in our marriage. You guys asked, and I want to be completely transparent and authentic with you and talk about some of those challenges. And some of the challenges were very individual first. One thing I told my husband quite recently actually is very few times are we having a marriage problem or a marital issue. Most of the times we're having an individual issue, whether there's something going on with me personally or something going on with him personally. The marriage itself is perfect, it's excellent, but there's something going on with us as a person. And so I realized that there are times, both of us, one of the things that came up for me were there were some insecurities in certain areas that showed its face when I got married. Those insecurities or that insecurity wasn't there before. But as soon as I got married and I was in a different environment, I was in a different circumstance, I was in a different situation, then the insecurity showed its face. And I've been having to deal with it. Of course, I'm 2 years in, so we're working on that getting better. But there were insecurities that showed up. And I bring those up because there's a possibility that with all of us, there are going to be insecurities that we deal with or have to deal with individually that's not going to show its face until you get married, until you start living with someone 24/7, until you start having to change everything you thought you knew or apply everything you thought you knew or learn new things, or until you have to now share part of your bed and part of your time and part of your life and part of your schedule, part of your thoughts with somebody else. There are things that you have that are unresolved that show their face. And that was the issue for me and has been. And it's been an ongoing transition period. It's been an ongoing adjustment as I learn these things about myself and get the help that we need, seek the support and the community that we need, make it a point that I am aware and recognize that this insecurity is there, Charisa, and you must deal with it individually so that you become the person that's connected to this other person in this very perfect, what I'm going to call institution of marriage. So uninsecurity was a challenge for me. Another challenge was expectations. Let me tell you guys, like I said, I had an excellent example or excellent examples of what marriage should look like, when times are good, when times are hard. I had very excellent examples on how beautiful marriage could look like, how restorative it can be when you give it time. And I always said, oh, that's what I want. I want it to be like that. I want my marriage to look like that. And so you start setting these expectations or standards for yourself and for your marriage. Then when it happens and you recognize that your marriage does not meet your own expectations and your own standards, then you recognize, oh man, that's not the picture I had in my mind. That's not the picture of the cake, of the recipe that I was putting together. And that was the issue for me. So I had certain expectations of my marriage. I had certain expectations of myself, of my husband, that was not the case when we got together. And I recognized that my expectations were not so much the standard that I wanted for myself. It was a picture that I appreciated that I wanted for me, versus saying, I'm going to create my own picture. I'm going to sketch. We are going to sit together, sketch our own picture. And so that transitioning period from single by myself, but having an expectation of what my future looks like, to present with somebody else, but that picture looking different, was a major challenge for me. And it still is to this point. I'm only 2 years in, right? So I'm still in newlywed phase. And we are still trying to figure out, how do I not want to get my marriage to look like what my parents' marriage looked like? Or how do I not want my marriage or my man or my husband to look like what my dad looked like to my mom, or what my uncle looked like to my aunt, or better yet, what my grandfather looked like to my grandmother? But my husband is my husband. He is his own individual. He's not my father. He's not my uncle. He's not my grandfather. He is exactly who he is, with his own personality, with his own traits, with his own idiosyncrasies. But yet I'm wanting him to be like somebody else. And so that is what I've had to adjust. Again, I'm being totally honest with you guys. So I would so appreciate it if you never misuse and abuse the information that I'm giving you. I'm honestly being open and transparent with you because I know that I'm not alone. So to know that there's someone out there who are experiencing some of the same challenges that I'm experiencing, I'm hoping that it can help you with your marriage, present or in the future. So expectations is still a challenge for us, but we've been working through them. And a third challenge that I've gone through going from single to newlywed is wanting more from my husband or from my marriage than the capacity is available for. See if I can explain that. So me wanting from a cup, it's almost like wanting blood out of a lemon when a lemon can only give me lemon juice, or wanting orange juice out of a lemon when lemon can only give me orange juice, or wanting 10 ounces from a lemon that's only going to give me 5 ounces. And when it's giving me, it's 100% of what it can give me, I'm still upset because no, I want 5 more. That has been a challenge for me. And that challenge is only because I've not given the amount of patience and grace that's needed for me to grow and for my husband to grow in our marriage. So instead of appreciating and being grateful for what is available to me at full capacity, at full 100%, him giving me all of his all into this marriage, into me, and appreciating that, I have been tending to give me more. No, what you're giving me is not enough. What you're telling me is not enough. I need it like this. I want it like this. It has to be this, and if it's not, I'm upset. And that was me for a long time. And then I came to a point I realized, you know what? My husband may not be giving me what I want, how I want it, when I want it, but he has been giving me him 100%. He's been giving me his love and showing me his love at 100%. He has been doing for me all he can do for me, the best he can do for me at 100%. Charisa, appreciate that. Charisa, love that. Charisa, be grateful for that. At least he is giving me 100% of who he is and what he has to offer. And then it allows me to say, you know what? I can love him at what he is giving me at his 100%. And I can then be patient and allow him to grow to the place of his capacity is a lot more than what it used to be, and he's then able to give me more. Until then, be grateful for what you have. And again, that was one of the challenges that really rubbed us. It rocked the boat, if you can say that. For me, especially, we are both single. We were both single for a long time. He was single for a lot longer than I was. And having to shift and adjust and change these little elements in your personal life, in your married life, and I'm being real open and candid with you guys. So, you know, if I can think about an example, I enjoy spending time with my husband. I looked forward to having a husband. I looked forward to having someone who I can be spending time with 24/7. We get to travel together. We get to do things together. Like, I had done 37 years of things by myself. Whenever I met a husband, I was like, no, I'm doing that with him. There's so much more things that I had saved up for whoever my husband was gonna be. Then I get here, and he was a different man. He was someone who was perfectly fine with just being laid back, didn't like too much traveling. He was perfectly fine with not spending 24/7 with me. And I'm like, what? You don't want to spend 24/7 with your wife and you don't want me to do this with you? And like, it used to just be mayhem. And then I had to recognize that he was at a place for 40 plus years where he was alone. He can do what he wanted when he wanted, but also there wasn't anyone that he needed and wanted to spend so much time with for 47 years. So then, how you come with someone who wants to be up with you and up under you all this time, and he's like, whoa, wait, no, I don't need that. And then it took us some time to realize what I like and what he likes. It took him time to realize, okay, so this is what she needs. This is what she wants. How can I give this to her? And then it took me some time to recognize, okay, this is what he needs and this is what he wants. How do I meet his need? And how do I give him what he wants? And then you realize that, so it's not that you can't give me what I want, or it's not that I can't give you what you need. We just need the time to understand each other. And that's going to be my first encouragement to you. Make sure you seek to understand. Once my husband understood what I like and didn't like and what made me tick, and once I understood about him, what he liked and didn't like and what made him tick, it made that particular challenge of he's going to give me all of his capacity, it made that so much more easier to deal with and to resolve. And so I appreciated that so much about him, or about both of us, that we take the time to understand each other. When you seek to understand, and I say seek to understand when you're listening versus seeking to listen to be right. Like when I recognize that understanding was more important than right, it has continued to make my marriage blossom and bloom. And I'm one of those women and wives who I believe we always right and men, y'all always wrong. And then I realized, oh, okay, Charisa, you're going to be without a marriage very soon if you continue to hold on to you are always right. And so I became to a place where I wanted to be married more than I wanted to be right. Like I was perfectly fine with not being right or wrong, but I still wanted to have a healthy marriage. So we sought to understand. The next thing you want to consider is being patient with the change and the adjustment. We were single for a long time. I was single for a very long time. Independent, not necessarily having anyone there with me, not having to depend on anyone. And now all of that completely changed. And the change came with levels of change. And I misplaced patience. But when we start to realize that change for him was hard, change for me was hard, change for us was hard, we had to give each other grace. We had to give ourselves grace. We had to be more patient with that change process. And it has been an ongoing process. I'm just 2 years in and we are still, when I say we are still growing patience. We are still trying to understand. And there are plenty of times we missed the mark. Let me tell you, there are plenty of times that it ain't looking good. It's not looking good, but we are committed to each other. We are committed to our vows. So no matter what, we still turn to each other and we still turn to God, who we have made the center of our marriage. Thirdly, I encourage you to seek support. The one thing that has helped my husband and I, the one thing that has helped save my marriage is seeking the support that we needed to help us resolve these challenges that I've talked about. So we have sought counseling. We seek support from other couples who have been married for a long time and are much older. And then we also seek the continued wisdom of the Holy Spirit. And so there are times when he and I have to make phone calls. There's sometimes when I've had to tell him, look, I don't know. I'm a social worker and I've solved a whole lot of problems, but this problem right here, I ain't got no answer. So if we gonna do anything, we need to go and talk to someone. We need to get to, and we have both had to say, when was the last time we've been to counseling? When was the last time you've been to counseling? And so we have done that. There's been no shame in our game. Why? Because we recognize that we are embarking on something that we have no idea what to do. I know how to do a lot. I know how to figure out a lot, but I also recognize that in this game of marriage, I can't do it alone. We can't do it alone. So we have sought support, and I encourage you never to believe that seeking support is going to make you feel like a failure. Never believe that getting the help that you need from another couple, from a pastor, from a community, from counseling means that you are weak. If anything, it has been counseling that has made us so much stronger. And I am so grateful for it. So that is about the gist, and that's just a gist of what going from single to newlywed has looked like so far in my life. It is a conversation that I don't mind continuing to have as I go through my marriage, as I grow. If my life and my challenges and also my wins, my successes, my resolutions, my resolve, if the love that I have for myself, for my marriage, for my family, if sharing that can help someone like you and help someone like you to grow and to develop and to mature in your single life, in your personal life, in your marriage life, then I'm here for it. I'm here to share. I'm here to be open. I'm here to be authentic. Why? Because I know that the seed that I'm planting is not only going to help you, but it's also going to help me. Because to know that my husband and I have put in the work. Marriage is work. When someone says marriage is work, I think I understood that, or I thought I understood that before I got married. And then I got married and realized, oh, they meant this is a 24/7 job. I thought it was a 9-to-5 type of marriage is work. No, this is all the time you are on, because when you are off, it's mayhem. It's crazy. So we've put in the work, and to know that we continue to put in the work to produce the marriage that we want, to produce the life that we want together, to produce the foundation that we want to lay for our children. If we can do that and then share that with someone else to do the same, this world would be such a better place. So here's another episode where I hope that everything I have said has encouraged, transformed, inspired, and motivated you to make the best decisions for yourself and for your family. Until next time, see you soon. Are you ready? After just listening to that, are you ready? I know you're ready. So if you want to now get up and go and start acting and putting forth what it is that you want the world to know and that you want to serve, now is the time, and you are well equipped. Make sure you like, make sure you share, and make sure you comment below. I enjoy reading your comments. Go ahead and make your mark in the world, because you are great.